Right then. Hey, we are live. Nick Patch, how's it going?
Good. How's it going with you?
Not so bad. We're all back for some green room chat with Nick, storyteller Patch. And what we're going to do now is, before we get into this, we're going to do a bit of this. Oh yeah, we love it. All right. Ooh, we like that.
Yeah, feels like I'm about to join a war.
Yeah, that's a bit of the old. It does feel a bit dramatic. It's a bit Planet of the Apes meets Hitchcock. You know, bit of suspense, bit of tension there. And we need to put that back on the. There we are. What color do you like? Do you want a bit of Roy Beckwith, red or blue? Choose one.
Red.
Red. There you go. Never say we don't. Cool. It's going to make us look slightly Darth Maul, but don't worry, Nick Patch. We shall be looking forward to witnessing your career with great interest. Now, it is the 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live. We are live. It's Azrael with the one and only Nick Patch. It's the 5 Pillars of Storytelling where we talk art, comics, movies, games, and toys. Think of the eyes of a needle and a golden thread going through each of those. Art goes into comics. Comics goes into movies. Serendipity, huh? And movies, a wealthy franchise, as we've seen for the last 10, 20 years, can be made into games, which is now a bigger market financially because they're interactive movies, of course, and so realistic these days. We're a long way from Pac-Man and home. And, of course, the ultimate playground are toys in the imagination of your head. You've got an unlimited effects budget. And, hey, if you look at the Batman toy, the articulation, Todd McFarlane, if you look at the actual detail on toys and the articulation and the accessories and different expressions you can have and the different hand poses, it's just off the charts good. So I think with toys, we're living the age of Michelangelo for the masses. Just saying. Sunday, the 2nd of November, it's Roy Beckwith. That's what we're chatting about. It's 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. London, UK, well, Great Britain, not so great. And please like, comment, and subscribe. That's a follow on X. If you're on YouTube, it's just log in and sub. It doesn't cost anything to Nick on X and his YouTube, and obviously Azrael at the 5 Pillars Storytelling. A follow and a sub on our channels. Everyone gets us to grow just a little bit more, so we can shine a light on creative leaders like Nick Patch. All right, then, let's go to the next slide and do a bit of something like this. Host introduction, then we're going to be quiet, and then we're all ears. Host introduction. Hello there. Welcome to the 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live, where we talk art, comics, movies, games, and toys. Look into the green light so we make that eye contact with our audience. I'm your host, Azrael. My secret identity is Carl Prometheus, storyteller, artist, promoter of indie creators. Oh, yes. Indie comics, and doing our humble bit to help grow the indie comic community. Our style is universal. We can be watched by creative families, creative adults, and their creative younglings. Our motto is to listen, to learn, and to share. Inspiring quote. Let's do one of those, shall we? Comics are an international language. They can cross boundaries and generations. Comics are a bridge. We build them here at the 5 Pillars of Storytelling, or a bridge between all cultures. Osamu Tezuka, legend. Now then, guest introduction. Nick Patch. We were going to do some nice pros for our guests, special guests and creative leaders, because most creative people are very modest. They won't say it. It's always nice when somebody else says it for you. So Nick Patch at Strange Pages. Roy Beckwith faces the Hito Witch in a cursed frontier where redemption is deadly. Have you ever read, and this is from his extended bio, by the way, on X. We love this. Just the right kind of tasty sprawly. Have you ever read or watched a long-running series and realized the creators must have had no plan beyond the first installments? Not here at Strange Pages. We have a plan, and we want you to be a part of it. We love that. Now, nowhere else will you find such a sprawling, epic, one of our favorite words, yet cohesive, even better, stories. Roy Beckwith and the Cursed Continent, our first title, is a supernatural Western horror that will haunt you with themes of loss, pride, betrayal, responsibility, and one of our favorite words, redemption. A welcome to special guest, Nick Patch.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I remember it now, but I had forgot that extended bio that I had put in there. So, but yeah,
liquid gold. That's how you sell it to those people who peek at the next bit and want to really get to know you and what you're trying to do. We call that extended vision.
Mm-hmm.
No blurring in your eyes, sir. The big 5 questions. We're going in. You ready for this, Nick?
Go ahead.
We've been waiting for it. Who is Nick Patch? Storytelling influences, art journey, movies, and music.
Big question. So as far as storytelling influences, I would give a lot of credit to. I'd give a lot of credit to Peter Jackson more than and I haven't read the books of the Lord of the Rings, mainly because it's a lot of words, but so I'd give it to Peter Jackson and to Tolkien. When I was only 4 years old, I was watching those movies as they were kind of coming out, and as a young boy, some pretty rough stuff to get into as a 4 and 5 year old. But those themes really stuck with me and still have. And the way that everything is laid out, and clearly Tolkien had a plan, and Peter Jackson was really willing to make sure that his vision came through. And did it work, showing the way that you start out kind of comfortable and you have to go somewhere to do something bigger and put yourself at risk to protect your homeland far away. So I'd say that as well. I give a lot of credit to, as far as my storytelling, to Joseph Campbell and Dan Harmon, who kind of riffed off of Joseph Campbell. So I got to give those guys their flowers. I do something different than what either of them did, but kind of like how the plum pudding model in The Atom was, it inspired the next more accurate iteration of The Atom, the next model. That's you got to give them their flowers. Even in high school, we learned about all the different iterations of models of atoms getting up to the most current and accurate. So I would give that to Joseph Campbell and Dan Harmon. Joseph Campbell obviously wasn't like trying to write stories. He was just kind of dissecting myth and mythology. But Dan Harmon obviously was writing stories. He did Community. One thing people don't know that realize he did was Monster House. I don't know if you ever saw that. Yeah. So it's a 3D animated Halloween movie. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I like that one. That was produced by Spielberg. I can't remember who directed it or anything like that, but yeah. So Dan Harmon did Community, and he's still on Rick and Morty. That's kind of lost its cultural relevance recently, but yeah. So I'd give that to those guys as far as story structure. As far as like message, I would give it more to Tolkien and Peter Jackson, what they did. As far as like moral and emotional like resonance and things like that, and messaging, I'd give it more to those guys. As far as structure, Joseph Campbell and Dan Harmon.
Out of the 3 movies, well, I suppose all 3 are your favorites. They certainly are for us. But what's your favorite scene from all 3 movies?
Ooh. I would say Shelob. That whole thing really gets me. And it's kind of, it's weaving and everything that kind of weaves in and out. But that moment when Sam gets down to the bottom of the stairs or halfway down or whatever it is, and finds the elvish bread that Gollum had tossed down, and he realizes that he was right about it. Now, not only are his paranoias about Gollum true, but now he's not there to protect Frodo, and he has to go back. Yeah, everything with Shelob is fantastic, boy. If that was done practically or even modern CGI, it's really weird how that works. CGI is gotten lazier, but back then, boy, with Gollum and Shelob, man, that scene was fantastic. Yeah.
We've got hello to Kyle and Nick. Sup at Once Was Cool. Nice to have you in the house and in the chat. Once Was Cool.
Howdy.
Howdy there. And yeah, we've got to say hello there. Welcome. Always like to have people in the chat. If you've got a question you want to ask later, Once Was Cool, have a little think and ask Nick a question as we get into it. We're going to get into it. That was very interesting. Our favorite Lord of the Rings scene is when Elrond tells Arwen how it is, and it montages through her fate and Arwen's in state. That one, for us, we can't watch it, if you know what I mean, without getting slightly. Next question. What does Nick Patch create? Elevated pitch. Azrael flies with his angel wings over the vast pond and gently sets down with grace, standing before your convention table. And we presume you're going to be standing there, smiling with energy and the sales pitch ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
What's your sales pitch to us to make you buy this book? And we've got the pointers up there for the premise just to help you along in case you have a mind freeze.
Yeah. If you're already at a comic book convention, I don't have to sell you on comic books, but I can sell you on the idea that a lot of the bigger companies have writers going in and out of titles, and they don't really have a big cohesive plan as to what they want their overall message to be. You have one writer doing one thing that might be awesome, and the next writer comes in to undercut that, and it's kind of like a Toy Story 4 did to Toy Story 3, which is kind of a weird reference, but the end of Toy Story 3 was all about we're toys. That's what we're for. Even if it's not Andy, we are meant to make kids happy. And then Toy Story 4 was all about how that was wrong, apparently, and how they should just do whatever they want to, and their purpose doesn't matter. And that's awful. And that happens in comics all too often. One writer does something amazing, another comes in and just undercuts it. That's not going to happen here. There's a big plan. It seems like you're wanting to jump in here, which I'm cool with.
Yeah, it just we were. Saliva was salivating at what you were saying there because we haven't watched Toy Story 3 and 4, but we did watch 1 and 2. And the bit where you've got the song over the cowgirl story, you know what I mean? The feisty, graceful little cowgirl. And we thought that was a peak moment, But the idea of going from, what's stuck in our thoughts, don't you? Going from a purpose to being purposeless. What a geopolitical message. And we don't do politics, sex, or religion on the show, of course, for obvious reasons. We like to keep the drama all about what's in the content. Mm-hmm. But in terms of a message, a storytelling message to give the population, especially young minds, forget about purpose, purposeless. Chaos, forget about order. Mm-hmm. Is that a positive message or a despairing one, we wonder? That's a rhetorical question. Now, moving swiftly on. Do you want to do this premise in a movie voice, or is it going to be Nick?
Yeah, if you want to read this premise, I'm down with that to see how you interpret it, how your nice British voice gives it some resonance, makes it feel a little more
Nick,
prestigious.
resonance and prestigious. We're
Yeah.
going to get on just fine. Your ship has docked on the cursed continent where unimaginable horrors lurk beneath its blood-soaked soil. Join Roy Beckwith, a battle-hardened gunslinger driven by a quest for redemption, as he faces the Yazito Witch, a twisted victim seeking revenge on the innocent. Witness the action-packed battle for the lives of Claystown's settlers.
Yeah, I like that. Might have you do a little thing for my what the voice. Someone calls you. Why can't I think of what it's called? Someone calls you and they don't answer. You've reached, yeah. You've reached Nick Patch. Yeah.
So, yeah, we could do we could be your message guy. And do you think there could be actually millions in that if you hire yourself out for that?
Yeah, there could be. You should look into
Nick
that.
Patch isn't at home right now, but if you want a tale of a cursed continent, there
you go. Send them straight over to the Kickstarter.
You don't want Nick Patch. You want to get straight over to the commerce. Let's go to the Kickstarter right now. We'll help you with that.
Yes, sir. Right, yeah. Yeah, that's the story. It's all about redemption and supernatural occult stuff. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Listen, it's completely Joseph Campbell, isn't it? If you've got redemption, it's the hero's arc, isn't it? We rise and we fall, from the golden age to the ashes, as it was in Star Wars, as it was in Lord of the Rings. It's all about, can we get to be king again,
Yeah.
Or will we die trying and remain in state? It's a choice we make, left, right, or forwards. And we stare into the green light, as we say. Choose wisely.
Yes, sir. Yeah, writing should be about character choice. A lot of the times it's not. A lot of times it's about spectacle. But the most interesting thing is, what's the character going to do? Put them in a tough spot, and what choice do they make?
Perfection. Your words are. Now, how about we play your trailer, all right? Kind of play, and we're going to go full screen, and we need to put... we need to remove that and add that. We need to go back there and press so we can do it.
Well, it is quite long. You may want to stop it at a certain point. My next trailer won't be this long. It goes through the entire first 7 pages, which we could just go through together if you like. It's up to you.
Let's do that. If we can find where the let me see where that is actually. See if we can find where the play button is. That's it. Here we go.
I'm about to hold your hand as we dive into the cursed continent, and I'll show you why Roy Beckwith is about to become the most well-known name in the history of weird Western comics. This battle-hardened gunslinger drowns in guilt and sin, desperate for redemption he's certain he does not deserve. When the Yazito Witch, a twisted victim, emerges to threaten the citizens of Claystown, Roy has a chance to make up for his past. Will he rise up to protect the defenseless, or let another town fall to the cursed continent's ancient horrors? Let me walk you through the first 7 pages of issue 1 and set the stage before the vengeful Yazito Witch rises from her unconsecrated grave. In 1876, Roy Beckwith flees through the dusty streets of Yuma, Arizona, regretting the violent path which led him here. A Yavapai warrior is hot on his tail, flinging arrows and promising revenge. Roy might be more prepared, if only he'd refrained from smoking opium late into the night before. With a wounded horse and a guilty conscience, Roy can't bring himself to kill the Yavapai man, and instead shoots his horse through the skull. As the Yavapai tumbles to the ground and his bow snaps, Roy regrets being forced to kill an innocent horse, knowing his own won't last long. As Roy rides off into the desert, the Yavapai swears he won't escape justice. It's not long before Roy's horse falls dead, and he is stranded in the hot desert, wishing that the Yavapai had killed him instead.
And if you want to see the rest, oh, Azrael, you're such a tease. I tell you, that's perfect. Stop it. That's great stuff, Nick. Who did your video for you?
I did the video.
Oh,
Yeah,
well done.
Thank you. I come from a filmmaking background, and I always edited my own stuff, so I just know how to edit. It was a lot of work.
Filmmaking background, please. Tell us about your filmmaking background and how you went through this trailer.
Yeah, so as far as my filmmaking background, I've done just mainly short films. I've written a lot of screenplays. Roy Beckwith actually started off as a screenplay. It's too epic, you might say, to be able to sell to a studio, especially nowadays where they won't touch anything new. It has to be a remake or a video game already or some existing IP. They're too afraid to do anything new for fear of losing money, I suppose. But I think that that's actually what they need, is to do something new, but they won't, especially when it's going to be a Pirates of the Caribbean like budget. It's going to be huge. And so I could go through a little bit. When I was my senior year of high school, I did a Kickstarter for a comic book and failed miserably. I was young, didn't know what I was doing. I actually looked through it, the original Kickstarter for it. It was a different story on my closeout stream for Roy Beckwith last week, I think. And there were no images on it except for like the header image. Like it's a comic book, it's a visual medium. I didn't put any like visuals on there. Just kind of a silly mistake.
Hey, we've all done it. Keep going.
Yeah. But I thought that because I was young and prideful, and I thought, oh, it's just not for me. I'm just better than the medium, which is, boy, was that a mistake. I said, well, oh, that's what it is I'm just meant for film. I'm not meant for comic books, which is especially silly in hindsight, seeing why it was unsuccessful as a campaign. Like, no visuals. All of my rewards didn't have visuals on it. The paragraph was like, it had almost nothing to do with the story or anything. It's like, well, yeah, of course it failed. But me being young, I said, well, yeah, I'll just do movies instead. And I've done some short films, tried to do a feature film. But at a certain point, I realized, oh, wow, like it wasn't me. Like I'm having some of the same problems doing film. So I had to adjust and learn and work harder and all of that jazz, and got a lot better at writing. Over 10 years, I've developed the writing system that I use, and it's complicated, but I'd call it elegant when you understand it. But yeah, so I've done mainly horror short films. I went through some of them with Crenshaw and Chris from Bent Box Comics on my closeout stream. We went through and looked at some of them. I thought there'd be more cringe, but they're actually not as bad as I recall, which is nice to see. But one was about a serial killer, which we didn't go through. That one was about 25 minutes. That we did over months and months, just doing the weekends. And that was really fun. I then, with the same team, did a few music videos for some local people out here in Utah, some local rappers and things like that. But did some more short films. Did one that was a kind of a noir, you might say, murder mystery, which was actually really, I was really pleased with that one. There are some flaws, obviously, but I really liked that one. I think the story really comes through. It wasn't actually initially written by me as the director. I, edited the script, went back and forth with the writer. His name is Peter Christensen. He actually has a series of novels that will come out eventually. He said it was going to come out this summer. Looks like there were delays. I don't think it's out yet. You can go check out Arcane Crime. if you want. He's got a world building channel, and if anyone's interested in that, his world that he's building is kind of as though instead of an industrial revolution, it was a magic revolution. And
do you want to put that link in the chat so somebody can actually look at it?
I can grab that. Yeah, let me grab that. It'll be. I don't want to type too much, everyone. I'm gonna type slow. But yeah, Arcane Crime. It's as though there was not a industrial revolution, but a magic revolution, which is a really. He's put in a lot of work, and he knows a lot about history. He knows a lot about etymology. He knows. He knows so much about all of that, and he's so interested in it, and he's just tweaked things. And you can go look at his channel and get a vibe for that. He does speed paintings while he talks about his world building. So I did put the link in the private chat. If you can share that, that'd be cool.
Okay, right.
So he wrote that short film. That one ended up being really good. It's called Prey, Prey. And he actually was an actor in it. And yeah, that one was really cool. And then another one that was really short, about 5 minutes, called Resurgence, about it was actually a period piece from the set in the 70s. So we had to get cars that were from the 70s, a cop car that was from the 70s, which was really interesting, cool to be able to do. There were some challenges on that set, actually, because the cars were so old that we couldn't have the lights turned on without the cars running. But we needed them to have the lights on. And so them running just made all the dialogue unusable. So we had to do what's called ADR, where you re-record all of the audio and then put it in later. Yeah, so we had to do that. Yeah, sync it up nice. Yeah, and it was really... just I tried to be uncompromising as I could. I actually wish I would have went even further into that. Try to not compromise. But when we did it in studio, it didn't sound right. And so I actually took the actors out to the location we initially filmed and then recorded all of the ADR there. And then all of a sudden it sounds right. Yeah, sounded really, you can hardly tell unless I mention that it was ADR. Then you're like, oh yeah, that is slightly off, but you almost wouldn't notice.
It's almost that 70s feel where the technology wasn't perfect at the time anyway. So even if it isn't perfect, that's actually almost syncing up to the period, the time era of such things. I mean, we look at things like you get in the 70s movies, lens flares and stuff like that. Because everything now they're trying to do a show about or film about the 70s. It looks pristine because it's got teal in it. It's got mustard or orange. I know what's going on with the color grading these days, and looks soulless and lifeless. And you're thinking, well, the film had imperfections in it, scratches and dust and little nicks. The film itself was imperfect. So to actually have everything digital, where the life is sucked out of the production process, that's not what the 70s was all about at all. If anybody lived there, they know the 70s was very real and very imperfect.
Yeah, I was talking about the lens flare thing, how those were accidents. Yeah. Now they're done on purpose stylistically, and they're overused, and that we don't like them anymore. But when they happened naturally, and then they thought, well, either we just have to run with it, or actually that works there. Alien kind of reminds me of that, one of the earlier uses of lens flares, less as a flaw but an artistic choice. And Alien's fantastic movie. And
Highland has that kind of conscious kind of use of that sort of stuff as well. The one and only Highlander movie. Was it?
Am I wrong to say that? Why can't I think of the name of the movie? Names keep escaping me all the time, but it's the Harrison Ford movie. He's chasing down AI robots.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, Blade Runner, of course. Yeah, I feel like Blade Runner had some of those artistic uses of lens flares as well.
Yeah, I think a kind of hangover from the 70s. They can just tell those movies just in the early 80s just had that vibe of hangover from the 80s. It's the age thing. You see, we're moving towards 80s, but there's that tension between what has gone before and the new that's coming in. But a beautiful movie. I mean, stylistically, visually now, to me, it beats the new one. All ends up, even now.
Oh,
It's just,
oh yeah.
Just. Oh, by the way, you got a compliment early, by the way, from Once Was Cool. He says Nick's a solid director too. So looks like you've got a friend in chat who knows you very well.
Yeah, it must be Crenshaw. I think it is. He's got a different Twitter than his YouTube face and name. So I think that's Crenshaw. He was on reviewing those short films with me. But yeah, yeah, he's a great guy. He's had me on a couple times. We actually did a breakdown, an in-depth breakdown of Black Christmas, which is
Black Christmas, classic.
You like that? Yeah, I love
that.
Oh,
love it. From all-time favorite horrors.
Really? I'm so
on
glad.
The head and
oh yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and we broke it down in depth, and how some movies you can kind of start poking holes in them, and then you realize, wait a second, that's not a hole, that was filled. They explain that, and the more you think about the movie, the better the movie is. That's one of those movies. Some movies nowadays, especially, you think about it and it starts to fall apart. So just don't think. That's what they're counting on. Just don't think. Just watch and experience the feelings, and then go home and don't even think about it. Just get excited for the next movie we're doing. That's kind of how it is nowadays, I feel.
Two examples of that would be Superman and Superman. We're going to go for Superman Reeves and the last version of Superman we watched. That was the first movie we watched since before the Darkness Wars of the last several years. That's what we're calling it. And he says diplomatically. And we watched it, and it was very teal. It was very mustard. And we thought Superman got kicked around a lot. And yeah, we liked the bit where Krypto savages Lex Luthor at the end and got swizzed about a bit. And what other bit did we like? Metamorpho, he was all right. And do you know what? I think we're running dry there, Nick. We like Reeves, of course, quintessential classic Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've got a Promethean moment where Lois has a crash and slowly gets devoured by the soil. Cars going into the road opening up, and we see her demise. And then he realizes, he just instinctually knows, because he's Superman, right? You'd have to have super instincts. He's taking care of everyone but her. And he flies, and then, you can lift the car out. He looks slightly concerned. There's that, even a guard might be slightly concerned, with a slight furrow in his brow. Rips the car door off and pulls out her body and carries her gently to the bit of land. And he's the Man of Steel, but she's made of clay, and her body's lifeless. It just touches her cheek, and her lifeless hand falls to one side. And yeah, you have that moment where, as a director, you appreciate, the camera goes there, and then there. And then he gets emotional, and then he folds time and space for her. He's one not to, but for her, he's going to do it.
Man. And what I like about Reeves is, like, he saw it as art. I think it was his family who thought, his father or something thought, you're doing this cheesy, comic book movie. I thought you wanted to be like a real actor, but Reeves really saw it as art, and that's what it was to him. And he took it serious. He knew what it was. He knew what it could be, and he did it really. Yeah. And you described that scene beautifully, by the way. Yeah, very good. Yeah, that new one though. Yeah, I agree. He wasn't. He was weak. There wasn't enough the moral dilemma with him, where Lex Luthor and the old ones even knew, well, the way you defeat Superman is by making him choose between civilians. I could stop Lex, or I could save these people. He's gonna save the people. That's how you deal with Superman. That's how you fight him. You don't fight him by trying to become stronger than him, which seems like that's what they were trying to do with the new movie, is trying to compete with him on the battlefield rather than strategic. And I just think it's sad to see everything go the way it goes. I know a lot of people like the new one. I'm not a huge fan of the new one.
No, for us, the battlegrounds are all about grace and nobility, and without grace, we say there is nothing.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on, tell us about this cover. It's a knockout.
Yeah, this one is actually for issue 8. So when Jarrett, the artist, the line artist, when we had started doing this project, we pitched it to Image. It makes sense that they didn't pick it up. 64 issue, supernatural Western by people no one's ever heard of. Makes sense they wouldn't pick it up, not financially viable, and a big commitment. So, no flack to them. But we did this cover because you do 5 pages and then a cover. And we wanted it to showcase what the series was at its potential. So we did this cover from now issue 8 and 5 pages from it, rather than the first 5 pages of what the comic book would be, or something like that, which is normal when you're pitching to Image to do something like that. And so now that I'm doing it myself, me and Jarrett are doing it. The idea is, we know this is going to be the cover for issue 8, so we may as well show it off.
When we found that out, we were so excited. We thought, this guy is different. He's thinking like a man with passion and a dream. And if indie comics want to get there, it's your kind of thinking, that, can we get into double figures? Have we got a vision? Where's this going? Do we just want to be one and done? Or do we want to take the reader and our fans with us on a journey? After all, if you don't believe in it, why should they?
Yeah, that's a good point. I do agree with you. A lot of people are doing one-offs. I'll just do this one and see how it goes. Maybe we'll do a second one. They don't have an idea of where that's going to go. I mean, do you think Tolkien wrote The Fellowship and thought, well, if that does well, maybe we'll do a second one? Like, no, he had this all planned out in depth. We obviously we know he went into incredible depths in world building, even creating languages, which was just who he was. But also he had a plan. He was talking about it in an interview one time, how you almost have to write a story backwards as well as forwards. And I get that very, I understand exactly what he's saying, because you don't just start, there's a darn fly bugging me. You don't just start with, oh, well, here's where we'll start. Hopefully we end up somewhere cool. You have to know what you want your big payoffs to be. You have to know how it ends in order to set things up in the start to make that pay off and powerful. And yes. Tolkien knew that. A lot of people nowadays, even in the big film industry, DC said, oh, well, we'll do this Superman film, and if it does well, maybe we'll do more. Marvel does the same thing now, throwing spaghetti at the wall. Hopefully something works out.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And Joss Whedon, when he did Avengers and Avengers 2, he had a plan. He was planning things out, and a lot of those plans ended up coming to fruition with Infinity War and things like that. as far as I'm concerned, it ended with Infinity War. I don't need to watch anything past that. But it's a sad ending. But Endgame just to me was no good. But yeah, so you got to know where you're going, and this is so I've spent 10 years working on story structure itself, the underlying chemistry that can create new formulas. Instead of just using old formulas, you're basically just following a recipe. And yeah, I mean, it's fine to follow a recipe. Pumpkin bread is always good. But, sometimes you want to try something new. And unless you understand the fundamentals of baking and cooking and flavor combinations, pairings, unless you understand all that, you can't create anything new. You're just following recipes. Same with chemistry. You can make new things, new metallurgy. You can make new combinations of things, carbon fibers. You can do that if you understand the chemistry. Otherwise, you're just following a formula to get a result that we've seen before, which again can be good. But if you want to make something new, you need to know the chemistry. And that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 10 years, is understanding the chemistry that makes that built up these formulas that worked. And I think Roy Beckwith is somewhat of something we haven't seen before as far as the storytelling's concerned. Sure, it's supernatural Western. We've kind of seen stuff like that, but the way that it's executed, I don't think we've seen anything like it before. And that's why I had to do it. Even if I'm funding it myself, I had to do it. Image didn't want it. That's fine, because it is a big commitment. I totally get it. But I just had to make it happen. And so that's what we're doing. And a bunch of people, platforming me like you are, or people who are fans in the indie comic space backing the project, they're helping make it happen. And I couldn't be more grateful to everyone for that, and you for bringing me on and sharing me with your audience and all of that. So I can't remember where I started on this question that you asked, but hopefully I answered it.
No, you're doing just fine. Do you know what, ladies? It's coffee cake, lemon pie. The answer is yes. If offered those two, red velvet cake, great stuff. G cake, Guinness cake, that's very moist. We like that. And rock buns. Nick's project, he's putting his soul on fire where his mouth is. And if he has to, he's going to go down with that ship to make this project happen. So we like the courage of his conviction to get in that boat and row. Doesn't matter what the seas do, he's rowing that boat. We admire the courage, conviction, passion. Tell us about this image, please. We like it.
Yeah, so this is the Yazita witch. She has just woken up. She's been long dead. She's been resurrected. She doesn't know what happened. She's disoriented. She's wondering what happened to her tribe's people. And right here, she seems to know who did it, who's betrayed her tribe. And this is the vengeful look that she gives. I love this, the coloring in this image. Fabi Marquez did the coloring for this issue, and whoa, she knows what she's doing.
Knocked it clean out the park on this one. It's our favorite image, by the way.
Cool. Yeah, I like this one a lot. The pages with the Yazita witch in this issue are some of my favorite aesthetically. The way that the panels are outlined in that orange to pop off of the back background on these pages. Very, very haunting the way that Fabi, she's all about color palettes and all about, making things cohesive. And she's been able to do that again and again, even with these, you know, I say, well, the witch's eyes are like glowing blue. That's just like what her magic is made of. And so she has to then say, okay, well, now I have to find a color palette that matches the fire with the torch and her eyes being blue. And she did, and she does it so consistently, beautifully. This design of this character was Jarrett Katz. He designed this character based on traditional Quechan, which is kind of it's a language, a Native American language that kind of encapsulates multiple tribes. And I gave him, I didn't say it's the name Yazito is actually Quechan, kind of a mixture of the Quechan words little one, because they're a small tribe that stayed out of bigger tribal disputes, and that's kind of how they survived. They're cave dwellers. And this is the Yazito shaman. Now she's a witch. I guess what's the difference? I don't know. Maybe the witch is more vengeful and into dark magic than the shaman is, more into helpful magic, you could say. But he designed this character based off me giving him, this is the background, this is the tribe, giving him background like that. And then he goes and does his own research into their traditional garb and the colors, and he designed this character, and I think he did a great job. When you can see the whole thing, the deer skull has the antlers, and I just feel like it seems iconic to me. It feels that way to me, and I feel like I can say that because I didn't do it, so I'm not talking myself up. I'm talking Jarrett up, which
it's a good idea to talk your creative team up so they stay with you for the long haul and for all the way up to issue 8 and beyond, we hope. Yeah. 64. Tell us about this one, please. Bones in a Graveyard, perhaps. And we see the antlers on the headdress. Very interesting. Intrigue.
Yeah. So this is her realization that her tribe is gone. Yeah. And she's been resurrected. Yeah. It's a tragic moment for a tragic character who turns into a villain. And this is the moment that she decides that she's going to take revenge, even if the people that she takes it on are innocent and had no choice in the matter. It's
a Anakin and the Sand People kind of moment.
Kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm. He
lost his mom, and from there, it's kind of sliding. Yeah.
It's only going to go downhill for her. She is the villain of this arc. So it's tragic. Jarrett really did a great job, I feel like, conveying the emotion she's feeling in this image. This is our double page spread. It's actually at the center of the book because I didn't want to do a double page spread that wasn't a centerfold, because I always hate when it doesn't quite align right or looks funny. So it is a centerfold double spread. And yeah, he just did a great job on it. And it is a graveyard.
A widescreen graveyard. Very good. Most effective. Very cinematic. Is that a vibe you're going for with your director background, Nick?
I guess I just kind of do what I do. If it comes across cinematic, that's great. It's, you know, the big thing is that sequential storytelling is sequential storytelling. It's the same in film and comics. There are differences. I mean, in comics, you can do tall panels, you could do long panels, you could do square panels. In film, you're kind of restricted to one size of image. And you can have music and things like that. In comics, you have page turns. When you turn the page, what's the next thing you see? There's all kinds of nuances in storytelling between the mediums, but yes, overall, they're the same thing.
Manipulated by space and time, isn't it? Was the comic panel, you have one image after the other. But in a movie making, you have the illusion of movement by having images that are overlapped in the same space to give the illusion, like a flip book. So very interesting mediums that have the base language in common. And if you're a director, a writer, you'd be quite comfortable, we should imagine, in both. If you had the chance, Nick, while you're on the director subject, if you got the chance to make a short feature film, to actually do a pitch sell to, for example, a Hollywood studio or an agent, would you do a low budget kind of sampler to say, this is what it could look like? If the comic book picks up over the 8 issues or so, and you think, you know what, it's got a solid base of readership. We've got 1,000 true fans and counting, and I'm making a bit of money at this. I could perhaps put a bit aside to do, low budget kind of 5-minute teaser, like they did with the Ripperverse in Out July. First of all, they did that a trailer, and you thought, well, you could see a day that maybe one day there's a cartoon of this.
Yeah, I think I would entertain that a lot. What I would rather do, rather than I wouldn't want to do a film, I would want to do a series, because the way that it is now structured is very seasonal. Every 8 issues deals with one arc, and there's arc over it and smaller arcs or whatever, but it very much so as the structure of a TV show, which I think that's just natural for comic books and TV shows, especially serialized, to kind of have a similar structure to them.
Think some of that Netflix kind of idea that TV series now have seasons, and you can watch the season, then wait on the next one.
Yeah, more so like that. There's no filler in this series like old TV used to have, so old Star Trek, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that kind of stuff. It doesn't have that. It could, but I think that the new like binge model, or the where they release 4 episodes and then a month later release 4 more, that kind of a thing, I think that do very well for this, because there is no filler, and I wouldn't want to add filler unless it seemed like it added something, which obviously, like Star Trek, Buffy, they did add something. It was never bad filler, but I think it would do really well as kind of a Netflix or Apple TV kind of show. Apple TV I would prefer, because they seem to give a little more budget and put more time in, so care into the writing.
I think you've got onto something there with that latter suggestion. And I think they're also prepared to take more of a risk with content if they feel it has the quality of storytelling to be backed. It doesn't have to necessarily be the same old thing. That as part of their company's think different kind of model, which they've probably had since the Jobsian days. So they tend to do things in their own different way, don't they?
Yeah, I feel like Apple TV is trying to be more like what HBO is.
Yeah.
And Netflix is, they're almost their own thing now, but that Netflix is like Netflix. They're the not that they're cheap, but it's the thought into the writing and the bold, like, I mean, if you compare anything Netflix puts out to the Severance, and how they were bold enough to move slowly to keep the audience on edge and intrigued, build intrigue, rather than, I guess, just do everything super fast and not really hold anything back, because they're afraid the audience won't stick around if they don't get something immediately. I think Severance and HBO, Apple TV and HBO are more willing to do that, to have a slow burn, to build tension, that kind of a thing, where Netflix is less so inclined to do that. They're more popcorn movies, popcorn TV. Which HBO has some good stuff and some bad stuff, but with the way they treat their creators, I'd prefer to be over there than at Netflix. So
we say in the chat, organic, build, intrigue. Amen.
Yes, sir.
Right, next slide. Let's press on. We say, well, tell us about this next panel. Well, this next interior page, please.
So yeah, this actually, because Fabi, the colorist, she's worked on these pages consistently, so it actually looks a little bit different. Everything's a little bit darker now, and a little less blue, which I like the way it is now. I like both, but she wanted it to be more cohesive with things she did later after these had been done. But yeah,
do you mind that when your creators not give you a bit of pushback, but say, look, we can make it what you want more so. We hear you, but we can give you what you want beyond what you currently know. We can give you this, a bit of us, but also give you the extra Lego brick that you're after.
Yeah, I like that actually. In filmmaking, it's the same, where I want this to be impactful in this way, and this is how I think you should achieve it. And then they'll say, well, you want it to, they understand the spirit of what I'm trying to do, and they can execute that in the details better than I had initially imagined. That
Push,
can be
pull.
Push pull. Everything's a dance. And I learned that in filmmaking, where you say, well, this is how I want it. And then the DP, the director of photography, says, well, I see what you're getting with that, but we could do it this way. That might be better. And I might give them pushback, and it's a little bit back and forth. And same with the writer, Peter, on that murder mystery film, where he wrote the script. I said, this is too long. We need to tighten this up. This would be more impactful. And he's, well, I really like that line. I don't want to get rid of it. And it's this back and forth. And I think with that project specifically, we landed in a better place than any of my other films because of that push and pull. And it translates to comics. When anything in collaboration, when you're working with someone else, you're not meant to be a dictator. You're meant to be a collaborator. Even if you're paying them to do the work, you're still meant to collaborate. That's what's going to make the best result. So absolutely. Yeah, where Fabi did what she thought was best, and I maybe give some notes, and then she takes that and said, I get the spirit of that, and tweaks it, and maybe not does exactly what I suggested, but makes it better in the way I wanted it to be better. And sometimes it's even better than I thought it could have been.
Sometimes it's even better, and you, by working collaboratively, you work and reach for better vision, to enhance the vision rather. Remember briefly when back a few years ago when we did our MA in computer animation, and we had to get the blue screen set up, and we had to play the part of director, do the art, do the script, all that, like how it is, your world building, and we had to hire the actors, get the costumes made, take the measurements, go through casting, get the purple letter sheet from London, and look for all the actors for the two lead characters, And remember when we got them to the blue screen studio, I remember the Scottish lady saying to me, bit of the pushback that you're talking about, they've read the thumbnails, they've read the script, which said, at this point, I want to, and just spontaneously said, I want to put my foot on his chest because he isn't listening to me. And I said, okay, I think it's a brilliant suggestion. We're going to do it completely my way. We're going to do all the thumbnails as we have shot them. And then, so going to listen to you and Mr. Gentleman over there for your extra ideas, because you've given us 2 or 3 ideas there, a handful of ideas that are completely blown us away that we could never possibly imagined. So let's add them in at the beginning. And if we feel as editor, they're better, they go into the final product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Yeah.
So I said, let me do it. Well, let us do it. We'll work together, and then we'll do you. Do me first, get it out of the way, get it out of my system, and then we'll do you. And that one moment where she puts his foot on his chest in the final production, I thought, got to hand it to the Grace. She had the knowledge and the power. I was blind, but then I could see.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. That's a really nice thing that you're able to do with film, is just say, well, let's just shoot it, and then we'll see what happens when we're editing. Mm.
So we shot all the bits we wanted, and then all the bits they wanted. And I tell you what, the bits they put in, you know, and him with the fight scene, I've got to be on my knees. You know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He does powerlifting, he does weightlifting with his buddies in the gym. He's got a great physique on him. But he said, "This is how I'm handling the fight." You know what I mean? And he brought power to it. And I said, "Okay, let's do it." I couldn't disagree. The results said all.
Yeah.
Tell us about this page here, please, sir.
Oh yeah, great splash page. This is obviously Roy on the horse up front. He's shooting the Yavapai is this man. He's shooting his horse instead of the man. And this is because Roy actually does feel guilty for what he's done to this man, which is right now quite vague. We don't know yet what Roy's done, but we know he's done something, and he feels like it's justifies this man's rage toward him and the revenge he's trying to seek, while trying to avoid, you know, actually killing this man. He wants to get away, and so he shoots his horse, which is a paint horse, you know, has splotches of different colors on him, which are beautiful horses. I grew up riding horses and herding cattle and that sort of a thing, and the paints were always the prettiest horses. But yeah, so this again, this one looks different. All of these 7 pages look a little bit different as far as color is concerned, a little bit darker, that sort of a thing. But I do remember at a certain point, so right now it's 28 pages, the okay. Comic. It was going to be 24. But I remember, oh man, this needs room to breathe. Everything's too fast. And it still is very fast paced. Yeah. So we gave, all right, we'll do a splash page at the beginning. We'll do a double page spread in the middle. And then I'll give myself 2 pages to let other things breathe. Because the structure is so demanding and there's a lot of stuff happening. I needed it to breathe.
Sometimes isn't enough. Structure's good though as the base skeleton, Nick, like you're saying. But sometimes you're thinking, I've got 2 pages to tell this. It needs 4.
Yeah, exactly. And we're actually thinking about adding even more pages for issue 2. Because the issue 1, while I do like issue 1, one of the things that I've seen people giving feedback on is that it moves so fast that it's hard to keep up with everything sometimes. And there is a lot of stuff happening. So we're thinking about giving it even more space, up to 32 pages. We're toying with that. That's not a promise yet. But I do want to give things more time to breathe. It's interesting going from film to comics where, you know, most of the money isn't per minute or something like that in film. It's just, well, we have to pay for the actors for the day. We have to pay for the sets and things we have to get. You could almost just let it be as long as you want it to be. And the price could almost be the same as much as you're paying for it. With comics, you pay per page. And so it's different to have to give things more room to breathe. I can't edit it later to give it more time to breathe like in film. No. You almost have to do more planning with comic books, which is fine by me. So yeah, it's
all in the research and development, isn't it? And the pre-production. That's where perhaps we feel that a lot of indie comics rise and fall. Mm-hmm. You know, it's that prep. All the prep. When you're cooking, you need the like you said with the cakes, you need the ingredients and you need the stuff to help make it and bake it. And you need an oven, you know.
Without you need to know what temperature,
temperature
to put the oven in. Mm-hmm. How long to leave it in there, all of that.
How long? Yeah, no kidding. Otherwise, you end up with the first batch of walnuts that you've covered in damp icing sugar in a fan-assisted oven. They only take 10 rather than 15. You take them out, they're slightly burnt, so you have to go again and do a second batch on top of your coffee cake. Anybody who's done a 3-tier coffee cake would know about that. We don't, of course.
I may have watched a video on YouTube about it, but I've never done it myself. But
got to say to your colorist here again, you know, an important thing in a page, and we remember when we did a bit of an Indian story, a preview of what we were doing back when we met Steve Lealoa, who'd worked on Spider-Man, great artist for her, we thought. And he said, you know what, your Indian headdress is too small for this chief. Because we've been working through some photo reference, but he said it's not big enough. He also said on some of our pages that they lacked depth. So it was just a foreground and a background, but no path to the middle ground to get to the backdrop. We're going to give you a compliment here. Your colorist and the artist has depth cued this. Yeah, you've got your depth of vision. Yeah, your f-stop. Yeah, and what we see here is foreground, middle ground, and background, and even the background plate with the stars in it. So you've got the Grand Canyon, you've got the sky behind it, you've got the middle ground before you get to the Grand Canyon type edifices in the background, and you've got the action up front. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4 planes? Love that depth of field.
Yeah, she's very talented. Other people have given flowers to that, having foreground, middle ground, background, and these things feeling separate. Yeah, hey, how's it going, Dan?
Hello, Dan.
Yeah, so that's none of that's me. So I'll just say that it's all them. So I'll talk it up. They do a fantastic job, Jarrett and Fabi. But I do see what you're saying, how the colors are more muted, more blue as you get in it back, farther back. Things are even in the new version. Things are blurred now, as though there's depth of field in her new version of this page. So there's even more focus on the action. It feels really impactful now, even more so. It's already impactful. Great team. I'm very blessed to have found these people, and blessed to be working with them. Fabi's fantastic, and so is Jarrett. Great team as well. I think that the things that he lays it out, and then she elevates it with her colors, and
brown, ochre, aqua, purple in the background. It's a color vortex. Tell your colorist, she's the bomber. That subtlety, and the cohesive. Let us worship at her altar.
Yes, sir. It's very much so cohesion. That's why I like her so much, is she looks at things and says, not just logically, what color would this be and what color might this be? She wants everything to be one piece, a cohesive piece. And that's what I've strived to do with structuring, especially when you add a bunch of characters and settings and things like this. You want it to have thematic cohesion, not just, what logically might have happened, or say this character's got this going on with them, and then this character's got that going on with them, but they're disconnected and they have nothing to do with each other. I wanted themes to all build to the same thing and be cohesive. Even if the characters are looking at things differently, they're looking at the same things, if that makes sense.
Family, characters, color narrative, a family of colors, the plot, classic structure. But what about the organic weave of the tapestry? What about the colors of those threads? It's all connected. Your colorist speaks truth. Tell us about this page, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this follows the horse being shot by Roy. Roy's riding off. He's regretful to have to kill a horse, especially a pretty one. And he knows as well that his horse is going soon. His horse has been shot in the hind, right, in the flank. His horse has been shot in the flank, and a horse isn't going to last that long after that. And he knows he's going to be stranded. And the Yavapai, the Native American, he promises that Roy's not going to escape justice. And Roy knows that's true because he is now stranded in the desert and with no shelter, no water, no food. He's as good as dead. That's kind of where this page ends.
Natural justice. Tell us.
Yeah, so we jump over to Clay's Town, which is a fictional town that I created, but it is meant to be near Yuma, which is a real place. You may have heard of the Yuma State Territorial Prison, which housed some of the meanest, baddest outlaws of the time period. And there are some horror stories you can hear about this place, and some say it's haunted, that kind of a thing, the Yuma State Territorial Prison. But this town, Clay's Town, was founded by Clay McCoy, who we know we'll find out more about later. But this is us being introduced to a bunch of key characters all in one page. We have Henry Harper, who's the marshal of Clay's Town, and Trip McCoy, Clara McCoy, and Mason Black, all in that last panel. So yeah, this page gets us introduced to Henry, Cletus in the cell. Cletus wants out. He's kind of a vulgar guy. And all of a sudden there's a commotion outside, and Henry runs out to go attend to it. And it looks like Trip is hanging from a high up balcony, in quite some danger. That's this page. This one colored magnificently as well, and drawn as well. How Jarrett was able to make these characters who seemingly could have been so similar to each other, he made them look so different. And then Fabi she added on top of that with the colors. Henry's clearly not Roy, even though they are in the same place. If you just described them kind of on a page, they might even seem like they look the same, but they look so different, and that's credit to them. So
yeah, actually putting the character into character, and again, your colors, such warmth, even on the blues, the aqua, and the purples, still a lot of richness and warmth to a fair play to both your artist and your colorist. Tell us about this one, please.
Yeah, so this is Henry's coming to save Trip. He wheels up a wheelbarrow to save him. We're trying to introduce these characters and their names, their relationships to each other. That's tough to do in such an action scene. But clearly, Henry is invested in saving this boy. And then after he's saved him, Clara says, hey, how's it going? David? Is that David Brink? Yeah,
David Brink for Genuine Comics. Shout out to you, sir. We hear there's a new one of your comics on the horizon. We shall look forward to this with great interest. Maybe get you on the show, perhaps, he says cryptically.
Yeah. So Clara gets mad at the boys, but sends them off. And there's this teenage boy watching. He's seemingly up to no good. That's this page. Kind of the colors every time, they just blow me away. The palettes, the way that they look. As far as there's a lot going on, and my dogs are barking, which is upsetting.
You love it. It shows that the show's not made by AI or generated by AI. We're actually authentic and live. And no, folks, we're not going to edit it out afterwards. We like people who rock up and just be yourselves. It's good enough for us.
And as well, I don't have a shock collar on my dogs, so I can't just quiet them up really fast. So
tell us about this one. Page. This one I tell you what, it's almost like your colorist amps it up, dials it back, amps it up. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Like a
Oh yeah,
volume
you can
control.
feel the heat, right?
Feel the heat is what we're
Yeah.
saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. Some people might say, "Why has he got his coat on and his hat? Why wouldn't he take his clothes off?" Actually, if you know, that's like the smart thing to do is leave all of your clothes on, your heavy clothes on, if you're stuck in the hot desert. I think what it does is it saves your sweat. There's a few things that it does that's actually it makes it the smart decision to leave all of your clothes on rather than take them off, as you might just have the inclination to do to cool down. Roy is a cavalry veteran. He's no stranger to the desert. He knows how to survive to a certain degree.
At
Obviously, he
night,
has.
it gets really cold. The temperature really drops, so you're going to need those extra layers. But obviously, during the day, it gets hot, baking hot. You can take a bit off. Is that the idea?
Well, you want to take them off, but actually, it keeps all of your sweat and all of it. It actually helps keep you cool because the sun will burn your skin. It's actually the smart decision to keep your clothes on, which is weird.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, the heat's killing him. He's withdrawing from opium. That's killing him even worse. He's lamenting. Yeah, 100%. He's lamenting what he's done that got him here. He knows he deserves it. He's not going to escape his quote, God's wrath, and his corpse won't escape the birds, as it says here. But then someone rides up.
Is that a touch of Unforgiven vibe we're getting here? Because we love that Eastwood movie. We think it's a solid gold, modern cowboy and western masterpiece.
Oh yeah, what a great film! What a great deconstruction of the Western hero. What great film! I love it. I guess if I took any inspiration, it was subconsciously. I do love that movie.
Yeah.
But it's all about he's done things he thought was awful, and he did it because he thought he had to. But it's regrettable.
Godfall Universe asking, Nick, what did you think of Horizon Part 1? I loved it. From Dan the Man, Godfall Universe.
What did I think of Horizon Part 1? I'm not sure what he's talking about. Do you know what he's talking about?
Tell us a little bit more, Godfall Universe. We're listening. You have our attention. Right, while Dan's following that up, we'll go to this next page. Tell us, please, Nick.
Yes, this the teenage boy who was seemingly up to no good on that last page we saw them. Henry, the marshal, seems to be doing some dirty dealings with him. He's not the upstanding lawman we thought he was, and
he's getting shades of grey, Nick Patch. Is that what you're implying?
Yeah, yes, 100%. Just as Roy has done bad things and might have to do things that he doesn't want to do in order to make good things happen. Henry is doing good things to make bad things happen, such as saving Trip. And now he's doing dirty dealings, obviously exchanging cash for something that this teenage boy stole. He needed a distraction, and that's why Trip was up on that roof. He even sarcastically says, as he's walking away, "Thanks, lawman," knowing he's breaking the law to
quote
give
unquote.
him. Yeah. Henry notices someone watching him, the shadowy figure, and he knows this person has a loud voice. The whole town would hear this person. And
we've got to follow up while it's in our mind. We're just going to interject there. Dan says the rest are made by Kevin Costner.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it. I do know a lot of people are having a lot of fun with Yellowstone that he's in as well.
Like Yellowstone, we love that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I just have a lot of stuff I'm doing all the time. I'd like to watch Yellowstone. I have a friend who was in Yellowstone. You never saw his face. He had a mask on. and I did auditions for Yellowstone with many actors because a lot of it filmed out in my area. But I haven't had the pleasure of watching it. I hear that Taylor Sheridan is doing a great job with a lot of these Western things, as well as the one with Harrison Ford. I hear is pretty solid as well. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I should. I've got a lot going on, but I may at some point watch that. I do love Kevin Costner. He ran into some health troubles recently, I heard. I don't know if this is inside baseball because I didn't hear this publicly. I heard it because we had a producer friend of ours was having a meeting with him, but the meeting got canceled and postponed because of his health issues. So I don't want to out him if that's not public, but some health issues. So my heart goes out to him. Prayers to Kevin. So
hopefully that helps you, Dan, in terms of what Nick's up to. But it sounds like he's got some more research and more recommended watching to do to add extra luster on the way to issue 8 of his indie comic. Got to read this one out by Genuine Comics and Dave Briggs. He always comes up with an incisive question when he pops into our humble live show. He says, especially for me as a European, it takes a lot of research to write a Western properly. Any particular surprising things you learned during the research for this tale and setting, Nick?
Yeah, a lot of things. I will start off that question by saying that, yeah, I did grow up riding horses, herding cattle, total Western rancher family. But my grandpa also, he's so well read on the subject, and he gave me a lot of book recommendations when I was going into this. I also have a lot of tertiary knowledge from him already. But one of the things that struck me that I feel like you don't learn in school is that a lot of the Native Americans were particularly brutal. They try to paint them as though they were all just this peaceful, nomadic people, but they really were not. Kit Carson, the mountain man, he had a read Blood and Thunder if you're interested in a really good biography about a mountain man. But he, early on in his young age, he realized that Indians aren't Indians, as he put it. There are tribes that you can trade with, you could marry into, you can have a good time, you can even party with them. Other tribes will kill you as soon as they look at you and take everything you have just to do it, even if they don't need it. Some of them were very brutal, and they were always warring with each other. And yes, while some tribes were nomadic and peaceful and all of that, a lot of them were not. A lot of them were taking prisoners and enslaving them and doing all kinds of awful things to them. That not just to the colonizers, but to the other Indian tribes. A lot of them were just awful. And one of the things that I did learn is we picture Christopher Columbus as having come in and just killed a bunch of Indians. And I don't know where that came from, but there's actually this story that is well documented of this tribe that he was with when he first landed. And they were very friendly, loved these natives, loved them to death. And he also, again, this is a weird thing. He didn't think he was in India. I don't know why we learned that. He called the name Indian comes from some Spanish word that means like natives. It's this whole like etymology thing, but people just take it for truth that he thought he was going to India. Maybe that's because that's what we learn in school, but it's totally wrong. But there was this tribe that he loved, really good friends with them. He would have to go back to his ship, stay there for a little while, resupply, go back out, that kind of a thing. And one day he went back out, and there was this little boy that he had gotten to know really well who was now missing. He said, "Hey, where's this boy? You know, I was looking forward to talking to him and seeing him again." And they say he's gone. He was taken. They're like, he's taken by who? And there's this tribe over the mountains who took him and killed him and ate him. And Columbus wasn't putting up with that. He said, no way that's true. They're not, people don't eat people. That's insane. That can't be true. And so he sent some guards over to check it out, to scout. And only one of them made it back. The others got eaten.
Crikey.
Yeah. And so he said, you know what? I really like you guys, to the initial tribe. This is an awful problem you're dealing with. I would call it righteous indignation inspired him to take care of that tribe for them. And he slaughtered the entire tribe of cannibals, which, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I tend to come out on the side of it being a good thing. If there are a bunch of cannibals who are eating other natives and often eating each other and just brutal, doing crazy things, like, maybe it's a good thing we get rid of them. The other tribe didn't have it in their means to deal with the problem, but Christopher Columbus and his men, with their armor and their steel and everything, they were able to take care of the problem for them. And I'm sure they lost some men. It wasn't at no cost to them, but they saw it as the right thing to do and did it. And I think that, like, just a lot of misconceptions about the quote colonization. And yeah, there's some bad things that I'm sure that colonizers did. Some of that's even depicted in Roy Beckwith, some of the bad things, but there was a lot of good things too. And there were a lot of bad Native American tribes that were awful to each other. And that's just lost on people today because of some weird narrative that mainstream media is trying to push. But if you go and read the history, you know that it's not sugar-coated like that. So
that's very interesting. How's that for an answer for you, Dave? He usually asks very incisive questions that allow people to expand. Are you going to have that cultural ambiguity of where you can find grace and evil wherever you go in the world, actually in your indie comic?
Yes, 100%. Even in stuff we've talked about so far, the Yazito Witch.
Dave's just saying that, by the way, that's not something we hear an awful lot about. So it sounds like you really answered Dave's question and then some.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me. I love those histories. But yeah, you see it in the Yazito Witch. She had something wrong done to her tribe and now is going to do some wrong to some innocent people. And I think that's nuance. And yeah, Bone Tomahawk, those were real types of tribes. Those existed. I don't know if you've seen Bone Tomahawk, but it is a grim, gruesome, gory film that...
Tell us.
So it starts off in a frontier town where some people have gone missing. A man and a woman went missing, and the husband and the sheriff and some do-gooders decide to go and track them down. And it's this native tribe that is cannibals. They cannibalize each other. They cut off the limbs of their women so they can't go anywhere, and they just do what they want with them. And this is all, it's crazy. It's all baked into their societal traditions and norms. And this is what they do. And this is why I think the Spanish called this the devil's country. I don't know exactly what the term was, but it was something like that. Obviously, the Aztecs were child sacrificing all over the place. Crenshaw, if you're still here, you know a little bit about that. We've talked before about a comic he wants to do that explore some of that.
Yeah, he wants to do a comic as well, actually. Crenshaw, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I hope he gets it done. And I really like the premise. I won't spoil anything for anyone else, but yeah, it's brutal. Bone Tomahawk was brutal.
Dave's saying here, actually, Bone Tomahawk scarred me for life.
Yeah, Dave, it's brutal, absolutely brutal. I wasn't expecting it. I watched it because I was on a deep horror dive and Western dive. And boy, boy, was that movie brutal.
You got more than you bartered for.
Oh yeah,
You
and it's
bargained
all
for.
a lot of it's at the end. So a lot of it is tension
It's a
building
slow
up.
wind up and then
Yes, sir, exactly. A slingshot. And man, it's brutal. Watch it if you want to. Be scarred for life, I would say.
Dave, you ask such brilliant questions, Dave Brink. We have a lot of admiration for him.
Yeah, appreciate it.
He's leading with his comics, Perfect 10, 6 issues now, trade paperback on the back of the last campaign. We describe it as, what is it? It's like George Perez indie comics,
Okay.
Shines like the sun, beautiful stuff. Meticulous exactitude in the art. Dave with his concepting and writing, he knows exactly what indie comics needs. So much so, his comics were voted out of all the ones of the creative leaders we have. It's pretty close, but Dave at Genuine Comics came out ahead of them all. And so he's like the Slade of glam rock. There are a lot of us that made a lot of noise, but it was Slade that sold the most records. So Dave at Genuine Comics, as our grandmother once said, you must have something.
As well, I love the name of his trade paperback, the Perfection Collection.
We played on that when we did a bit of promo for him. We said, Perfection Collection, but you couldn't argue with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good.
He's missed this bit of the stream. Got asked the question because you know what? Nick will be able to answer this.
64. We will make 64 issues of Roy Beckwith. This is not something that I decided arbitrarily. This is something, the structure that I'd call it discovered, because I don't think I created it. It's something that's underlying reality. It decided
Seriously,
to be 64.
He just said, Dave, an underlying reality. He discovered it as an historical fact. We can't wait till he hits 64. Hopefully, we'll still be streaming by then.
Hopefully I'm on. It will be 64 issues, seriously, and it's a big epic, as we say. That is a life's work. Yeah. I expect it to take no less than 10 years. May take longer.
I'll tell you what,
but
doesn't that make you want to buy in though, Dave Brink? You know what I mean? Just like what you're doing with Perfect 10, you've got 6, you rolled it into the trade. There could be another arc of 6, then you're into double figures. So in a sense, Dave, Genuine Comics, you and Nick are doing similar things. You've got a long-term vision, you build out the issues, you pause on the trade and go again for the next arc and so forth. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll be doing, I want to do 4 issues and then a trade, 4 issues and then a trade, and so on.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially since it's 8.
Perfect.
8. Perfect.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, so it's 8-issue arcs, 8-issue arcs. The way things work is that they're their own arc, so they have their own payoffs built in, but then they also build up to the bigger story, and it's very complicated. I've gotten into it on other streams, no need to get super into it, but basically there's a big story arc. That story arc is split up into 2 smaller story arcs that are 32 issues. Those are split up into 4 smaller arcs that are 8 issues each. Those are split up into 2 that are 4 issues each, and then obviously each issue is its own mini arc. You could say, so it's serialized,
almost like a TikTok strategy, big small, or just almost like story beats, or almost like music. You've got your own beat in terms of the campaign length and arcs.
Yeah, it's a rhythm for sure. And the way it works is one thing builds up to a big payoff, and that payoff will build up into the next big thing. It just compounds. The way that I think any of the Star Trek, especially later Star Trek, did when you take out some of the filler episodes. It's all one season has its own thing. That season builds up to the next thing, and each episode has its own arc, setups and payoffs. That's the way it works. And it's a life's work, sure. And 64, seriously, this is a story that needs to be told. Redemption is no joke. People think that you can be too far gone. You may as well just double down on the bad things you're doing, and that is a harmful thing. You don't want to believe that. No matter how far gone you've gone, you can turn back.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. Got to come in there. Even in the greatest darkness, there is searing light. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. That it's like that scene with Shelob in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, so you can always turn back if you're doing, and it doesn't need to be like, oh, you're like Roy, where he's killed people and he's been a bounty hunter and he's done a lot of things like that, but just things, smaller things even, that you may be doing that you're not living up to your full potential. You can.
Now we've talked a lot about the creative side of things, Nick. Now let's get down to business, because on this show we always talk about there's the art, but you've got to balance it with the commerce. That's why we do crowdfunders, and that's why we offer variant covers. Tell us about these tiers from your recent campaign.
Yeah, so where this is the first issue, wanted to do a few variant covers. We did 5 total covers. You can get them individually. That one is Todd Beats, Dave. I think you're talking about that big one.
That one is also a favorite. Slight clue that why it's slightly bigger, but continue, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Todd Beats is great. He did he's done a lot of covers. I don't think he's done any straight up interiors yet, but he's big on Instagram, but he's not one of the big names. Like we also have Carrie Nord and Jason Sean Alexander, who's done Conan and Spawn and things like that. But Todd Beats is coming up. He's got to be doing something eventually. Someone will pick him up. I know they will. But yeah, so you could have gotten all 5 covers all in a bundle for a deal. The standard cover, which is the one on the top left there, that is the cheapest option. It's $10. The next one is $12 because it's the one below that was $12 because it's exclusive to Kickstarter. So it's a little more rare. And then the big one and the 2 to the right, those ones were $15, and that's by virtue of us having to have forked out a lot more for those ones because they were bigger names. And there are special guest variants. So a lot of people picked those up. A lot of people got full bundles. A lot of people chose those covers specifically. Glad we did it. It was a kind of a big thing we wanted to do for our first issue. We're going forward. We will probably only do 3 total covers, 2 by our main artists, and then 1 by a special guest artist. That's how we'll be doing it moving forward.
Sounds like a good formula.
Yeah, perhaps, on some bigger events, let's do a few more, get some extra special guest artists in there or whatever it happens to be. But for the most part, it'll be 3 total covers. But
yes, I'll tell you what, the montage is something we're big on. It's almost that kind of that you're talking about earlier, director, cinematic, movie language, movie posters almost for these covers, particularly that one in the middle. We've got the montage towards a narrative landscape in the body, and your colorist on that cover, stunning, just knocking it clean out the park.
Yeah, that's Todd. He did it all. So he did the lines and the colors. Yeah, Todd Beats, check him out. He's coming up. He should be doing something soon.
We can believe that. That's just burnished bronze. It's just sunset. Oh, what do you call it? It's just takes your breath away.
Yeah.
Why do you create indie comics? Is it the power? Is it the freedom? And when did your journey with indie comics begin? Was it, just you enjoyed comics as a kid? And why do you do indie comics? Is it that freedom?
I just suppose I've soured on institutions recently.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit. So, for perhaps it's the freedom, perhaps bigger piece of a smaller pie, whatever it is. But mainly as far as getting into comics, try to briefly go over, was I was not near a comic shop my growing up. So I didn't get into them until I was 13, but I remember them being this mystical thing. My grandpa used to talk about them. My stepdad talked about how his dad had a collection, and I got to look at them sometimes, but I didn't get to read them because they were these old relics that were not for, the rough hands of children. So I remember when I was in junior high, finally I was going to get to go to a comic shop, and I went with my grandpa, and the grandpa, same guy who's very well versed in all of the frontier history. He was taking me, and actually on that day I was at school and it was career day, and one of the parents who were there presenting was a comic book artist, and that was actually my first comic book was his. And it was an indie book that he had done, interestingly. But we went into the city, long drive, first trip to the comic book store. Didn't know what issues were. I was very confused. Got some Hulk stuff, some Incredible Hulk stuff. Thought, oh, here's issue 1. All right, here's issue 2. Turns out issue 1 was Incredible Hulk, and issue 2 was just the main Hulk series. So they weren't the same story. I was very confused when I got home and started reading them. So I didn't have the luxury of being able to go to the comic book shop very often, but mycomicshop.com, which is still around, they afforded me the ability to get long runs all in a row. And I wasn't well off, wasn't rich or anything. So a lot of it was, hey, for Christmas, I want these 90s books that are 75 cents each. But I could get a full story ongoing.
Full story arc.
Yeah. 90 issues of Iron Man, the Invincible Iron Man with Sean Chen, and just stories like that were kind of 90s, like that, the Uncanny X-Men, those kinds of things. I think it was Jim Lee on that one. And so I was reading older comics, but then when I started getting my own money, I started getting subscriptions, and that was right when New 52 and Marvel Now was happening. And the only good things that came out of that were Scott Snyder's Batman series, which has its issues, especially later on. But that, and then I did like Superior Spider-Man. I thought it was a really interesting direction to go, to have Doc Ock switch minds with Peter Parker and become Spider-Man, and that the moral complexity there, where he is egotistical, so he wants to be a better Spider-Man than Spider-Man, and starts doing heroic things. But then obviously, since he is Doc Ock, he starts doing evil things to appear more heroic, and all of that.
Moral lapses. Is that what we're calling them? Moral lapses.
Moral lapses. Yeah.
Just having a bad day, folks. Got out the wrong side of bed. We're gonna have a lapse today, but we're aiming for doing good. But just today, we didn't have our breakfast, or the cornflakes went soggy. So that's interesting. We're going to pick up on one thing there. Your relationship with your dad, yes, but your granddad seems to be a pivotal part in this creator comic and appreciation of this freedom. Is your granddad a free spirit? You've got a good relationship with him, by the sounds of it. It's see, the universe speaks and listens. So that on that moment of serendipity, a significant jigsaw piece in your puzzle.
Still have a great relationship with him, and it's not just him, but as well because my families were kind of split. So I had 3 families, and a lot of them didn't get along. But it seemed like movies, especially, were a universal language. You could quote,
Glue.
yeah, I could quote Jim Carrey at one house and quote it at the other, and everyone knew what we were all talking about. So they were kind of like that, which I really appreciate that, especially at a young age. And my dad watched a lot of movies, and so and we watched a lot of TV at all of my houses, but movies especially, that's what everyone was paying attention to. And so you kind of deify that almost. And Lord of the Rings, like I said, I watched at a really young age. It probably affected me a lot more than it affected my dad, because I noticed he was paying attention to it. So I paid extra attention to it. And I would watch it over and over on the VHS. But yeah, so stories are the glue. Like when my different families weren't getting along, my parents didn't get along, they were divorced and everything. They all spoke that same language of movies and TV. You could quote, and everyone knew what you're talking about.
It's building a bridge, a storytelling connection. That's Soulfire, and you certainly got it. What advice would you give to aspiring creators? On this show, we talk about indie comics are so accessible now for people to create and to buy. It's off the charts. We have to go back to the late 80s when the indie comics were booming with the Turtles, and then they collapsed. Get the feeling that this time they won't, and that we're pushing the wild frontier and getting our own plot of land. What advice would you give to young creators and creative families if they want to follow the indie comic dream?
I would say that something that I was averse to at first, structure is not a hindrance. If you're using the right structure and using it the right way, it actually is more, it will bolster what you want to do. Structure is your friend. It's not something that's going to hold you back and hold you down. It can actually free you more than you think. Just briefly, that's what I would say is look at structure. Don't take it as formula. Like Save the Cat is total BS. Most of it is tropes that don't need to exist in there. They're just tropes.
Land the art for the individual issue, method for baking the cake.
Yeah, if you want to go super basic, I do crazy mad science stuff, but super basic. Write the whole thing you want to happen, and then break that down into beats. Write what you want to happen for each of those. Break those down. Write until you have, this is like moment to moment now. This is what's happening. So now, like, this is almost the script. I'll just flesh that out to a script.
So get it all out, and then almost kind of like structure a thing. There, and there. Beginning, middle, and end at the most basic, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there are act structures are wild. There's 3-act, 2-act, 5-act, 7-act. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with that. So
you can develop your own story beats as you get into it. Now, only a few to go. What superhero would you be? We're going for kind of like Hal Jordan's for Team Blue. It's probably going to be Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, the one and only, or Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. Or if it's Team Red, would obviously be Iron Man, Tony Stark. Who would be your superhero? Who would you be, Nick?
I'm like torn between Batman and Iron Man. And those were actually the most influential comic book series and movies in my life. Both Scott Snyder's Batman and Sean Chen. I can't remember the writer. I'm sure some people went in and out, but the one from the 90s where Sean Chen was drawing, at least for the first 30 or so issues. And then I was reading that as the new Iron Man movies were coming out. So those were incredibly influential, and obviously Infinity War and Endgame tried to do something great with his character, and it's close enough for me. And then Batman, obviously the Dark Knight films were coming out, and I was reading Scott Snyder. So yeah, the morally unwavering and the innovation. I remember there's a story my dad told me about when he was young. He was in a neighborhood football game they would play during the winter, and he wasn't the fastest and he wasn't the biggest guy, but his advantage was his innovation and his wit. So he couldn't, and he didn't have a lot of money either, which both funny because Iron Man and Batman both do, but they had the innovation. He took pencils and cut them up and glued them to the bottom of his shoe in kind of a checker pattern so that his feet could grab the snow better than everyone else. And he was MVP that winter. So yeah, like the being clever, the innovation. That's why I'm split between Batman and Iron Man.
There you go. No, we think that's a fair tie. They're two epic characters. Now, bonus questions, very few. What are your plans for Nick Patch going forwards?
So I'm going to be doing 64 issues of Roy Beckwith, which is a lot. I'll be still trying to get some movies done on the side of that. We'll see what happens. But mainly what I've decided is, because I've jumped around between comics, plays, movies, music, just jumping around and not just getting my feet wet in all of them. I decided to do a deep dive on comics, start where I started out and failed when I was in high school was comics. So I'm doing a deep dive there.
Seed, you say, versus the sunflower.
John, yeah, you could say, just a quick, short-lived sunflower, and then a apple tree that will live for years and generations. That's trying to do that with comics. For 10 years, I think is the plan. I'm gonna just focus mainly on that, but may do some stuff here and there with movies and scripts that I've already written. So trying not to let it take time away from me doing Roy Beckwith. Not gonna be George R. Martin and never finish, hopefully. No.
So you're not going to pick flowers. You're going to actually water them and nurture one. Mm-hmm. Stick with it. Got you.
Good way of putting it.
Favorite pizza, sir?
Supreme. Give me it. Give me the fixins. Give me peppers, onions. Give me olives. Give me onions. Give me it. I'll put sardines on it if you want. I like a lot of the fixins. Run it through the garden. Any vegetable you can put on there, put on there.
Right now, we're going to ask for the face dive special because we're really hungry. If your local pizza house does a face dive special, let me know. We'll be flying over there real soon. Right then, where can they find out more information, Nick, about you and your 64 opus vision, which we have a lot of respect for? To somebody to have that vision is, for us, is where we have to go.
Write those links that he's got up there. Get on my Twitter. That's where I spend most of my time talking and posting things, and you'll always get news from there. I wish I had an easy way to join the email list, but I'll hopefully be developing that soon. You'll be able to find that information on my X. And then obviously you can follow my page on Kickstarter, kickstarter.com/Demon Hunter. You can do that. That's where I'm at. You could follow that. You could follow issue 2, the pre-launch page for Roy Beckwith. You can follow that, and I'll keep you updated on my X account. So
love it. Tell you what, we were aiming for 1:30. but we're 6 minutes short of 2 o'clock. We're under the 2 hour mark. You have been all that we wished for as a guest. You really do like chatting about storytelling, and that's great because we love listening about storytelling and sharing people's vision, the who, what, and why of Nick Patch. And where you're going has vision, it has conviction. You're going to row that boat, and if it need be, you're going down with that ship. We admire your courage, your passion, your conviction. We say thank you for being our special guest. We wish you well, Nick Patch, and Godspeed. Please like, comment, and sub if you're on YouTube to us, and also you know where to find us on X. Give us a like and a follow so we can share and shine more light on creative leadership and our in-house expert tonight, Nick Patch. He's a man with a vision. He's a director of dreams, and hopefully his wishes will come true. That 64, we want to see it.
Yes, sir.
Right then, we shall add to stage our happy outro music, like so, and we will say to you, it's been great having you on the show, Nick. God bless you.
Thanks for having me.
Here we go.